It's been 6 months since their last transmission to us. They never sent anything after we sent our own radio transmissions. We got intercepted by the feds, and the lab got shut down. That was a tough stretch of days. They just came in and started clearing computers and confiscating everything. All the peppers just loaded up into the back of an armed government truck. I had to watch them shred all of my research for the past 2 years. Stuff that didn't even have to do with the peppers. Layla watched them take a hammer to our radio, the one we cobbled together to send messages to our friends. We still never got around to having a proverbial name for the Nells sending us gifts and letters. We just kind of always referred to them as our friends. But the feds came in and wiped their history clean, like they never even reached out in the first place. I don't know if we intercepted a global threat masquerading under the guise of genuine connection, but I think that's how the government feels. You'd be surprised at the amount of satellite facilities that pop up and shut down in a matter of months by government interference. Powerful radios are pretty easy to make nowadays. I think maybe there's a lot out there trying to get to us, and maybe it was an accident that it publicly got out that the Paracticites wanted to know us too, or that they wanted to know the Romanians. So now, 30 years after the Paracticites contacted us, all the American government can do is damage control and prevent anything else foreign from contacting Earth. After the closing of the lab, we all pretty much went our separate ways. Roger got a job pretty quickly at the Texas project. He said he could try to pull some strings to get the rest of the team hired there. I think Mike went with him, but I said that I wasn't interested. I haven't heard from Layla or Joe in a while, and I think they went up north to work on some Arctic research project. I just feel done with it all. Watching my whole life for the past 2 years just be destroyed in front of my eyes for seemingly no reason, it just kind of broke me. I felt really punished for being curious and for asking what was out there. And now, with no facilities, no archive of research, and no team to support me, it felt pointless to try to keep searching for scraps of our friends. The night before the raid started, I had a weird feeling, so I took home another box of peppers. Thank God I did. I'm sure they destroyed the rest of them. But I kept my box in the freezer so they'd stay fresh as long as I could make them. I ate them little by little, and I finally finished the box last month. I really rationed them for as long as I could. I have a hard time of letting go a good thing, even when it's confusing. I was breaking down the box to throw away. I thought about keeping it as a memento, but I figured it would be better to just put the whole thing behind me. When I was breaking it down, I noticed a slip that could be pulled out, and it revealed an inner panel of the box. Like I said, the boxes they sent were like cardboard, but we hadn't realized that they could be split in half long ways, like against the corrugation of the cardboard. It unfurled out and it had handwriting, a messy version of the printed script that they had sent hundreds of letters in. I was astonished. There was so much here that could be analyzed. The ink material, the anatomy of a hand, or some sort of writing apparatus that we could decipher through the motion of the pen strokes. I mean, not even to mention the content of the letter. How many boxes like this had we missed? Did they all have secret writing inside too? Why bother writing something when they printed so much? We looked for every possible sign of understanding from them, and we still knew that we would never be able to fully capture an image of them due to the unfathomable distance between us. A gap in communication that could never truly be filled. The letter was mostly in their language, which I pretty much have memorized now, and I usually write my grocery list with it. Well, I guess I just have the alphabet memorized. I kind of have no clue if the order or pronunciation of any of the letters is remotely correct. But mixed in with this note were a few letters from human alphabets, some English ing endings, a few Arabic characters, and only one word that was fully translatable. A Czech word, Společník, meaning companion. I've been doing odd jobs here and there. I had a research gig that seemed promising, but about a month after relocating for this job, they told me that they were looking for someone with a different set of skills. So, after packing up again and couch surfing for a while, I recently landed a job at a plant nursery. I've quite liked it so far. I get to get up early before the sun rises and be the first caretaker to get to the greenhouse. I did a little bit of gardening with my mom when I was a kid, and in college I spent a few months landscaping. Nothing serious, but now I'm starting to feel like this is something that I could continue to do for a while. Plane-support spacecraft have always been of interest to those studying astrophysics. Sure, we can figure out human survival where it's impossible. We like to push ourselves to the limits of endurance. But quickly after human space travel became a reality, we naturally became interested in the survival of plant life, as once we move into space, we've got to figure out how to grow food. The first plants to go into space were seeds on a US V2 rocket, and they weren't recovered, but we kept trying, kept relaunching, and later successfully recovered rockets holding seeds of maize and rye and cotton. Now we can grow cabbage and rice and tulips on our space stations as we figure out the longevity of both human and plant survival on a place that isn't Earth. I think a lot of people, particularly astronauts, have a tender connection to plants as a representation of true Earth life. They don't communicate back to us, at least not in a way that we can completely understand. Our care of plants is somewhat out of a need for our own fuel and growth, but we still have the desire to make sure that they prosper and are safe. I've never been to space, and it is unlikely that I will ever be able to go in my lifetime, even with my updated intergalactic passport. But being in a greenhouse before dawn, before my side of the world wakes up, makes me feel a little spacey. I turn on the gentle mister as I walk up and down the aisles, tending to the delicate vegetables I have come to care about so much. It makes me feel like I'm in space because there's no one here with me, but I am not alone. No, there are no peppers on this farm, unfortunately, but maybe that's a good thing. I'd hate to show favoritism to them over, say, the cherry tomatoes. But I think about them, our friends, quite often. Because of them, I will still be curious about the messages I can never decode and the messages never sent. I will wonder with my whole heart about their intentions forever. I will still call out to the things I know will never respond. And that makes me hope that some other creature, no matter how far away, is yelling out the same thing, twice as loud. And who knows? Maybe that creature will send onions this time. Their Sunday as Peppers is written, voiced, and produced by Stan Lambert. I hope you enjoyed. Thank you for taking the time to listen.